A surface area video we just did. If you need to go back, but I told you we're going to do a separate volume video. So this is volume of prisms and cylinders. So this is actually probably a little simpler than the surface area. First of all, volume. It's the quantity, and you've heard it in science before, the quantity of three-dimensional space enclosed by a closed surface. For example, the space that a substance or shape occupies or contains. So that's the key. So in a rectangular prism, right, in all these solids we're about to talk about, volume is how many 1 by 1 by 1 cubes can you fit into that space. Okay, fit into that figure. So a rectangular prism's pretty simple. On the three we're going to do today, the rectangular prism, the triangular prism, and the cylinder, the volume is always the area of the base times how tall it is. So for example, this one, if we take this rectangular prism, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubes this way, 3 cubes this way, and 3 cubes tall. But here's the way I want you to look at it. Not just rectangular prisms, but all these. If I separate these out, this is my base. So how many 1 by 1 by 1 squares or cubes can I fit in there? And then I'm going to multiply that by how many layers I have. So you can either count these, or we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3. This is 15. Well, I have 3 layers of 15 because it's 3 tall. Okay, so here's how we're going to get the volume of any prism that we have. All right, including a cylinder we're going to talk about later. The volume of the prism is the area of the base. Again, a prism, rectangular prism, the base is a rectangle, triangular prism, the base is a triangle. So whatever the base is, we're going to get the area of that and multiply it by how tall it is. So to get this, your base is a rectangle. So you go 3 times 5. All right, so that's 15 square cubes. Okay, or 15 square centimeters. Each one is a centimeter. So there's 15 cubes in here. Well, based on the 3 layers, that is 3 high. So I'm going to do that 15 times 3. So the volume of that rectangular prism is 45. Okay, remember surface area was always square units. Volume is always cube units. All right, cubic units. So centimeters cube, feet cube, miles cube, whatever. All right, so that's rectangular prism, pretty straightforward. Length times width times height. All right. Let's do a couple. This is the prism that we did when we did surface area, so it should look familiar. So if I have a picture that is whatever you want to call that, length, width, height, whatever. If this is length 4, width 6, and height 5, length times width times height, 4 times 5 times 6. And you can probably do that in your head. But 4 times 5, which is the height, and times 6. So that volume is 120 cubic centimeters. So we're going to do the same thing here. This is very similar to something you're going to see on your assignment. Volume. Now again, be careful if it says volume, if it says surface area. If it says surface area, that's the previous video, right? We got to get the area of all 6 of the faces and add them all up. But volume, simple. Length times width times height. If it's a rectangular prism. So this is 55 times 53 times that 97. Okay, so I would get that. Now, be careful on your assignment because it may ask you to round. If it asks you to round, be careful. Be careful, okay? So make sure we're rounding to the appropriate place value. All right, so that's rectangular. Next one is triangular prism. A little trickier, but it's the same formula. Volume of the prism, triangular prism, is the area of the base. Well, in this case, the base is a triangle times how tall it is. So go back. How do we get the area of a triangle? Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So this specific triangle right here, this blue base triangle, is 6 units, right? That would be the base by 2 units, right? And that, just use your little meter stick, your centimeters, okay? So if this triangle is 6 by 2, okay, 6 times 2, take half, right? Triangle 1/2 base times height. That is 6. That 6 is not going to change. The area of that base is always going to be 6. That is not going to change. So how do I get volume? Well, it depends on how tall it is. So for this example right here, this is 6. So the volume of this triangular prism is that 6, got that base, times 6, based on how tall it is. So each layer or each centimeter or each whatever I add another layer of 6. So this is 6, and then when I go up to 2 centimeters, I add another 6, right? So 6 times 3, or 6 times 2. So it's always the area of the base times how tall it is. Okay, so for this specific example, the height was 1. The area of base, again, is always going to be 6 because the triangle doesn't change. And the area of that is 6. All right, well, let's say we change the height to 2. So if the height of that triangle is 2, right here, then that's going to have or not height of the triangle, height of the prism. Then all of a sudden that 6 times 2, that's going to be 12. Now this should be, it's not in there, this should be centimeters cubed. That should be in there. Okay, but that's always going to be true. Area of the base times how tall it is always going to be true with rectangular prisms and triangular prisms, along with cylinders we're about to talk about. So let's do a couple right here. All right, this one over here on the left. This is the one we did on surface area. So if you need to watch the surface area video, this is going to look very familiar to you. All right, so we have everything we need. All we got to do is get the area of the base. Well, the base is this little green triangle. Okay, so that's the base of the triangular prism. The base of that triangle is 8. So again, triangle, 1/2 base times height. So big B is area of the base. So that is 1/2. Little b is the base of the triangle, which is going to be the 8. And h is the height of the triangle, okay, which is going to be 6, because if PO is 6, that means ML is also 6. So that would be the true height of the triangle. Again, because that's a 90-degree, that's the true height. So H is going to be 6. Okay, so when I calculate that, we're going to go 6 times 8, take half. So we'll put it in the calculator like this. Times 6 times 8. So the area of the base, this is not the area or the volume, the area of the base is 24. Well, how tall is it? Because that's how many 24s I have. Well, it's 5. It's 5 high. That prism, the height of the prism is 5. So if I look at my volume formula, this is big B, which is what we just solved for, times H. Not this H. This H represents the height of the triangle, right? The base. the h we want here is the actual height of the prism. So the big B we solved for is 24. The h in the formula is the height of the prism, which is 5. 24 times 5. All right, if we need a calculator for that. $120. Now, what does that 120 represent? The volume, because I took the base, area of the base, which is a triangle, multiplied by how tall it is. Now, volume, again, the unit is not here, but it has to be centimeters cubed. All right, make sure you do that with volume. All right, here's one that you're going to see on your assignment. Now, don't think of base as on the bottom. Okay, this is a triangular prism. The base is the two congruent parts. So you're going to see this is a triangle here, which also makes the other triangle over there. So the base is going to be this triangle. Don't always think about base being on the bottom. All right, so it asks for volume. So as soon as it asks for volume and I recognize a triangular prism, I'm thinking that. And triangular prism tells me that the base is a triangle, and the way I get the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. If you need extra help on getting the area of a triangle, we've already done some Khan Academies and some quizzes on it. But if you need extra help, then do that. So the B, little b, base of the triangle, that is this 20. And the h in this formula is the height of the triangle, which this dotted, that means that should be a right angle. It doesn't say it, but it is. That is the true height of the triangle. Well, that is the little h, which is what I'm going to put right here. So this 20 represents this one. This 20 represents the base. So I don't think we need a calculator for that. All right, the way you can do this, because you may run into some bigger numbers. So some bigger numbers, instead of multiplying these, and you have a calculator, it's okay if you need the calculator, but I can take half of 20 and then multiply that by this 20. So this is called commutative property. Order doesn't matter because I'm multiplying. So if you want to, you can go 20 times 20. That's 400. Half of that's 200. Or you can go half of 20, which is 10, and then 10 times 20 is also 200. So big B, area of the base, that is centimeters squared. Again, area is squared. So that's the big B. That's what's going to go in right here. And again, I know this is weird that 7 is the height of the prism, but again, visualize this tilting down where this triangle is actually going to be on the bottom. And 7 would be the height of the prism. All right, so I'm going to take that 200, right, to get volume. That big B is 200 times the height of the prism, which is 7. So the total volume is 1,400, and volume is cubic centimeters. Okay, so when you get to that kind of problem in your assignment, then that's how you do that one. All right, so there's rectangular prism and triangular prism. All right, next thing, cylinder. We did surface area of a cylinder last time in the video. Again, here's your definition of volume again. The formula is still the same. The volume is the area of the base times the height. So now we have a base of a circle. So how do you get the area of a circle? Well, that's pi r squared. Well, in this example, the radius of this circle is 6, That means the diameter, or sorry, the diameter is 6. Diameter is 6, radius is 3. Well, the area formula is pi r squared, so I need radius. I need radius. So if it gives me the diameter 6, then I've got to use 3 for my radius. All right, got to use 3 for my radius. So you can go 3 squared is 9 and 9 pi. But on the assignment that you're going to do, it's going to want the decimal. So you're going to use pi, you're going to use 3.14. Okay, so when you calculate this base out on the assignment you're going to do, you're going to go 3.14 times, again, this radius is 3. So you're going to get it that way. Again, pay attention to what it asks you to round to. So you see where these two answers are they getting the same way. This is the actual pi value. This is a 3.14. Pay attention to what it asks you to do. Pay attention to what it asks you to round to. Okay? So the same thing with this. As this thing keeps getting taller, okay, I just add another layer. So I just add another 28.27 if I have a height of 2. If I have a height of 3, I add another 28.27. Same thing. So every centimeter, in this case, I go up, I add another base. I add another 28.27. So I got my big B. Now the height in this one, all right, we'll start out as 1. We'll say height is 1. So the area of the base is going to be that 28.27. All right, if I change this height to 2, all right, it's going to do it for me down here. All of a sudden, that's 56.55. I doubled that. Okay, same thing, height to 3. All it's going to do, I multiply that by the original base, area of the base, which is 28.27. Okay, once again, make sure you pay attention to what it asks you to round to. I will do a couple examples here. This again is an example from surface area video that we already had. So I get the area of the base, whatever that is, and I'm going to multiply it by 5. So the area base being a circle, that is pi r squared. This gives me diameter 6, so I need radius of 3 squared. Okay. Now, ACT would tell you 9 pi, and that would be good enough. On the assignment you're going to do, it wants you to use 3.14. Now, pay attention. Some of them may want you to do that, some of them may not, but just pay attention, follow directions. So that's 3.14 times 9, and there's that 28.26 or 28.3, depending on how you round it. That's the area of the base. I'm going to multiply that by 5. So that whole thing times 5, the true height of the cylinder, and that's what I get as my volume, 141.3. Area of the base times how tall it is. So this is an example. Now you see, what is the volume of the cylinder? So when I see that, as soon as I see that, I'm thinking this. And I'm also thinking, all right, my base in a cylinder is going to be a circle. So you're also thinking this. All right, so this direction says use pi approximately 3.14, round your answer to the nearest hundredth. And that's probably going to be your directions consistently. So let's do that on this one. So this 9. So when you get to this, you got to ask yourself, does that 9 represent the radius, which is what I need, or does it represent diameter? Well, this 9 represents the radius, right? From the center to any point on the circle is the radius. So I'm going to use that 9. Again, this 9 is your radius to get the area of the base. And that is a parenthesis that has gone wrong. So that is 81 pi, but again, it wants us to use 3.14 for pi. So we're going to do that. 3.14 times, we'll go ahead and put the 9 squared in, even though we know that's 81. 25.43. Now that is not the volume. That is the area of the base. So don't make sure we pay attention to what's what. That is the area of the base. We're going to take that and multiply it by the height of the cylinder. So the height of the cylinder is going to be 9. So I'm going to take that and multiply that by 9. So what this program allows me to do is do that. I'm going to do that times 9. And that is going to be my total volume. Now go back to the directions. Round to the nearest hundredth. So let's take a look at what it would actually be if I rounded to the nearest hundredth. So I need to go to the thousandths. So to the nearest hundredths in this spot, in this little blank, right? Hundredths, that's tenths, hundredths is here. Right, that 0 says keep that as 6. So make sure you punch in. And don't worry about commas, right? I know it'd be 2002, 289. Don't worry about that. That's what it would want. Now, if this was a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, now all of a sudden that 6 bumps up to a 7. But it has to round to the nearest hundredth. All right, so there's just some examples of what you're going to see. Volume of rectangular prism, volume of triangular prism, and volume of a cylinder. If you got any questions, let me know. Use this video along with the surface area video I put on previously to help you with your assignment that I'm going to post, which is actually going to be an iExcel assignment. All right, good luck.